All right, so we're gonna get closer and closer to an election soon enough, and be it approval ratings or just really how fatigued a lot of the public is. A lot of very, very stupid people are still going to be stupid, but there's stupid people who are starting to kind of at least see it another way. More specifically, because they've realized that the world hasn't just fallen, considering that certain areas in this country don't have the restrictions to the level of New York City or the restrictions to the level of California and all of that. So a lot of stupid people out there still, but let's just say that in mass, or rather I say on net, there are a lot of people that it's just this whole COVID stuff it's not the thing that you want to be clinging on to. So you're going to start to see, I don't know, people be made to be the fall folk. You're going to see slight pivots, and you're going to see them still trying to present themselves as okay, this is happening because of whatever plan that they had, be it if they blame these COVID pills that are going to come out or whatever. They're not going to ever actually admit that they're wrong. But again, you're going to see pivots, more information. Now, looking at hospitalization numbers by way of the CDC, as well as deaths, I don't want to say it was taboo. It's just you had to do a lot of digging to try to figure this out. And what it is really journalists. I'm gonna put the blame on who it is. Journalists have not done their fucking job, really at all. There very seldom was it happening. You had like Fox Orlando, who would go actually look at the detail of the numbers, question them, finding out that there were people that were dying of motorcycle accidents that were being considered positive COVID counts and COVID deaths. But you see more studies being done and kind of reassessing of numbers. UK had been doing this for a little bit, and you're talking up at a 25 percent of like a lot of the deaths being kind of winded down because they're saying that these people die with COVID and not from it. So Dr. Michelle Walensky has something interesting to say, which really puts some things into perspective. And I'm not giving her credit for a goddamn thing. I'm just telling you what it is that's happening here. And apparently Fox News, she was on Fox, which I don't know if this is her first time ever appearing on Fox, but that's considered the opposition. And they asked her a very interesting question. We're going to listen to her answer here right now.
Do you know how many of the 836,000 deaths in the U.S. linked to COVID are from COVID, or how many are with COVID, but they had other comorbidities? Do you have that breakdown?
Yes, of course. With Omicron, we're following that very carefully. Our death registry, of course, takes a few weeks to collect. And of course, Omicron has just been with us for a few weeks, but those data will be forthcoming.
Do you know how many of the 836,000 deaths?
So apparently they do, in some capacity, know that some of the deaths, they know something with the numbers that we, let's say, don't know. There are some other things, though, that she had said that I want to make sure that I cover as well. So keep that in mind. And then also I want you to listen to what she's going to say here.
Illness. Given that, is it time to start rethinking how we're living with this virus, that it's potentially here to stay?
The overwhelming number of deaths, over 75%, occurred in people who had at least 4 comorbidities. So really these are people who were unwell to begin with. And yes, really encouraging news in the context of Omicron. This means not only
illness.
All right, so basically what she had just said was 75% of the people that have died from this had at least 4 comorbidities. First of all, that's a significant number. So she's saying that 25% didn't have 4 or more. That doesn't mean they had no comorbidities. And this is why, you know how this is going on, how they frame this, right? They always framed it as, well, this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated, and what it really was and what it always was a pandemic of the unhealthy. But they're just too chicken shit to admit that, because for one, that's I guess really the primary thing is that this country has this, in the West in general, has been very regressive and degenerate in a lot of fitness aspects. Now, there have been people, and I will say that there are more people taking their health seriously. But just as you got like health and fit gurus and all of that, you also got fat motherfuckers. You've seen these people paraded on the front of magazines. You've seen people act like there's nothing wrong with that, this whole body positivity movement. And that's been an issue. Now, that's not the only sort of comorbidity, if you are to talk about this, overweight, but there's other sorts of diseases that generally get associated with people that are unhealthy. Okay? This is what this always was a pandemic of the unhealthy. Folks like myself, I've about recovered from this, who are relatively healthy and in shape, haven't seen many problems. We were looking at the data over on Pat Unleashed this morning, and I'm looking at this data. This data was really intriguing, was it not? And it shows how, like, I mean, even between the ages of basically 0 and 45, like how much of a very small percentage of the death that makes up. Over 50% of them like was 75 and above. And then obviously you get into talking about more comorbidities and all of that when you really look at the data. It's just what's being told, I guess the story or narrative that had been conjured for COVID is just so completely different from the statistical reality. Yet they have been getting away with not acknowledging it. They've been getting away with cooking the books. We've been talking about that over the course of the pandemic. But the main thing is the lack of amplification of the statistical reality. So now to the point, I don't know if you guys saw the other day, CNN had some doctor talking about some of these doctors need to chill out because they're spreading doom and gloom. Oh, you figure now, what is it, 2 years after the fact, that these guys are starting to figure out that maybe we shouldn't have been listening to these fucking anxious, anxiety-ridden crackheads who act like this is something that it's not. There's still people going on to this day. You can sit up here and show people the numbers. There's still people to this day that act like there's just a bunch of young folk dying. There's still a bunch of people who are clinging to schools and the fact that young people, even just toddlers, to get vaccinated for what? When they represent 0.06% of like the death. Why the fuck are you trying to rush to hospitalize these people that are virtually at no risk? Why? And instead of asking the question, you get a bunch of people, lemmings, if you will, that just go along with it. Get mad at you because you bring it up. You say, look, man, this doesn't add up. The deaths, hospitalization numbers, good books being cooked. You're looking at the people who are not really going to see this as some sort of threat. So many people have mild cases. So many people are not needing hospitalization. Like, can we get back to some sense of normalcy? And they get mad at you because you bring it up. Like, what are you doing? No, you can't say that. Like, no, it's doom and gloom. We're in a pandemic. All sorts of buzz terms that they throw out there. And like I say, you're going to see them start to acknowledge some of this stuff because it's a little more safer only. And really, the only reason is because we're going to move into midterm soon enough. And then as people are starting to campaign and, you know, people are still dangling this freaking pandemic over the heads of people, it's just not really a popular thing to do. So if you can present yourself as a hero, and a lot of people will, like, okay, we're getting on the other side of it, and these guys are blaming variants. They're saying the variants are what's causing it, right? It's the variants that are really the game changer here, or the COVID pills, or whatever it is. It's just what? And I guess the unfortunate thing is that it will, and because Americans have the memory of a fucking goldfish, man. A lot of them are going to let him get away with it. Fauci's going to get away with fucking all the lies that he's told over, instead of being under the prison where he fucking belongs. He's going to continue to get away with this shit because, again, most Americans are fucking stupid. And this is why, look, man, I'm kind of deviating a little bit here, but I'm going to just reiterate this because I need people to understand. Shut the fuck up if you're one of those advocates for democracy or you think that democracy is something that is good when, again, most Americans barely have 2 fucking functioning brain cells in a political capacity. And these last 2 years have really shown you that these people will go along with the dumbest fucking shit. Even if you can present the data to them, they'll go along with the dumbest shit. So as long as it's coming from the authority figures, and authority figures are telling them what to do, what they are telling them to do could be the dumbest damn thing, and they're still gonna do it. These people are allowed to vote, and that in itself shows you how much a sham of the governmental system that is predicated by way of people voting. I don't care if you're one of those guys that saying we're not a democracy, we're a constitutional republic. Shut the fuck up with that too. That ship long got jumped. This is you live in a country where a bunch of people get to vote for policies, and their vote counts just as much as their neighbors, no matter how stupid they fucking are. It is the God that failed nonetheless, and you need to get over yourselves and need to move towards more delegitimizing of these systems instead of propping them up as if these people are, any of these people for that matter, are fit to actually vote anyway, yet let alone on behalf of fucking other people, which is an impossible feat.
You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.